republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would like to pray, would you please remain standing? Dear God, I pray that we seek you for advice. Let us not make decisions based upon what we know, but let us act based upon your wisdom. Please guide us, God. We place this meeting in your hands. We place our hearts and our minds in your hands so that you may direct us. Amen.
Amen.
All our council members are present tonight. Approval of minutes of our previous meetings. Our call meeting of March the 20th, 2020. Emergency call meeting March the 23rd, 2020, a.m. and p.m. And call meeting March 30, 2020. If I could a motion to approve those minutes, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none. The vote unanimous, Mr. Leach. Approval of order of agenda items. We'd like to move 9A up to item A and make item A my item AB. So at this time, if I could get a motion to make that change on our agenda.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none. Monica?
Yes, sir. Thank you for letting me go. Yes, sir. Thank you for letting me go a little earlier so that I can get to the Board of Education this morning. Wanted to present to you documents that we would be asking for receipt of the CHIP award. As you know, preliminarily let you know that we had received notice from the Department of Community Affairs that we have received a $300,000 grant for home improvements. Again, this is to bring people up to clean, decent, and sanitary, the dwelling units. It is home ownership targeted, so only qualified people can participate in the program, and we'd like to receive this. It matches the same grant that we received 3 years ago, which was around $306,000. We have a grant administrator for this, and the GIC team is very pleased to be able to receive it. All the paperwork matches exactly what the state provided us last time, and we have no discretion in what gets changed in it. You either accept the award or you don't accept the award. So we'd like to ask this evening for the City of Madison to accept the award and give the mayor discretion to sign all related documents that are associated with the CHIP grant. That's the Community Home Improvement Grant for $300,000 for 2019.
Thank you.
I did have a question, if I could, Monica. You mentioned 3 years ago. Is that about the length of time you anticipate it takes to identify the houses and spend the money? And
No, sir, we anticipate that we will complete this one within 2 years this time. The first time we received it, we received both a CHIP and a CDBG at the same time. And we were newbies, and we were trying to figure out the housing grant program that's related for GIC. And so we anticipate, and our grant supervisor anticipates, that we'll complete all the houses within 2 years this time. So the sooner we get the document signed, the sooner they can go ahead and release the funds. This is advertised, and participation depends on how quickly people sign up. We'll do somewhere between 8 and 12 houses, depending on the severity of code compliance, non-compliance.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Monica, same target area?
Yes, sir, same target area. It's considered a phase 2 approach, and that garnered extra bonus points.
Are
And
there
this
more
will-
questions for Monica? If not, if we can get a motion to approve to sign this grant.
I so move.
Second.
Are there more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none. The vote unanimously. Thank you, Monica.
Yeah, good work.
Item 8B, public hearing text amendment. Jeff Roy, your text amendment to section .33F, changing the maximum number of guest rooms for a bed and breakfast from 4 to 6 rooms. And we've had several communications from our community concerning this on our agenda item tonight. Since we are going through this COVID-19 pandemic, people are having to watch online tonight and cannot be here in person. And as I said earlier, we received several communications to ask the council to reset this public hearing of text amendment at such a time when the public can come and attend and voice their opinion. And none of us know how long this is going to last. But if this meets the council approval, I would ask that we get a motion maybe to reset this text amendment of this hearing at least 3 months, at least to our council meeting in August.
Mr. Mayor, I have no issue with that. I think that's very wise. Does that deny any kind of applicants for any kind of rights for the applicant, or, and since it's a text amendment, I would imagine not, right?
Our attorney can probably, yeah.
You can consider these a motion to reset, that you decide before we actually get into a public hearing. If you decide to reset it in a public hearing, be reset as well.
So I move that we reschedule this public hearing for text amendments for Mr. Jeff Royal for section 800.33F B&B room number.
I second that motion.
Yeah, to the August 10th meeting.
August 10th meeting.
Second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor? Show of hands. Okay. No recusals, so I declare that this vote is unanimously by a council member. Were you going to say something, Bryce? Okay, okay. Okay, thank you. So does the applicant have an opportunity to speak on this, Mr. Carter? Thus that just end this public hearing for this?
What you have done is you've reset the public hearing until the August meeting. So there is no further,
No further
nothing further
discussion.
to do on the text amendment.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, council member.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I think that's in the best interest of the applicant too, because he has the same issue of trying to be here in public and defend it. So I think it benefits the applicant that we, get an opportunity for him to be here face to face, and I think it's fair to all the parties.
It certainly makes sense under the circumstances, and as far as legally, it's certainly appropriate. Because what you've done is you've had a motion and you've granted it.
Thank you, sir. Public hearing, map amendment, Kelly Mahoney, amendment, existing plan, professional development, PPD on Bethany Road, 036059. Mr. Bryce, you want to speak to us on that?
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is a map amendment for the Wellbridge project. Can everyone hear me okay and understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Can catch up here in a second on the slides. Oop. I'll give it to Chris.
Are you talking?
Just giving Ken a moment to get the slides up
Okay.
for your references, folks. That's fine. I'll talk about the stuff that's not in the, not the visual side of it, so to speak. Very quickly, there was no public comment at the meeting. The applicant is requesting an amendment which is a modification to a planned professional district which you folks have already granted. In a summary, they are reducing the scope in terms of overall number of residents and rearranging the layout of the development, moving some buildings around, combining some. But at the end of the day, this is basically an internal reorganization of something we've already authorized and reduces the impact, which is why staff didn't ask for new traffic reports and everything, because less is less of an impact. As
Bryce,
the-
will the footprint be smaller, or is it
Uh,
the same?
The footprint for certain facilities will be slightly reduced.
Okay.
It's a little tricky in the sense that some buildings are being combined, but overall, the number of residents will be down.
Okay,
You'll notice in the staff report, there's a table, and they're going from 332 units or beds, depending how you want to define them, to 256 under this. So that is a notable reduction, and they're rearranging it. The other notable, in terms of, I guess, an administrative side that they have to go through this process to clear, is that they're amending or adding some property lines so they can phase and finance differently. From a planning point of view, that has very little to no impact. All other terms that were approved, such as certain support, help on the green space matters and things like that, those are all intact. As such, the Planning Commission gave a unanimous vote to recommend approval. They suggested 3 conditions, and I'm just going to read them briefly. Oh, and Ken has caught up with me, and now the color shows where they're planning on dividing the property. They're also, I should note that when they do deed certain parts over to the city, those will be taken out, but that's not applicable in this instance because we're government. Zoning showing the area of the PPD, which is what we're talking about right now. And this is some of the highlights I just mentioned. Staff would suggested 3 conditions, and these are fairly moderate in terms and mostly process-driven. The division of land is to proceed according to the applicable requirements of Madison subdivision ordinance because they're subdividing. Obviously, whatever's been cleared here through this to get this to work won't count for that purposes. They'll need to amend their development agreement. And just as a reminder, but this is a standing part, all designs within the corridor design overlay district must meet the design criteria of that board and go through the review process. So basically, some very minor housekeeping changes to reflect the changes. As I said, this is fairly straightforward, and in terms of impact, we've already authorized the use through the earlier granting of the PPD. Are there any questions?
If there are no questions for Mr. Bryce, we will open our public hearing. Is there anybody here against this text amendment, map amendment? Or online that would like to call?
Do you need a full minute for that, David, or
30 seconds.
30 seconds?
Mr. Mayor, is the number for them to call on the screen if they're watching this meeting online?
it's online
It's
somewhere, but I
online.
don't know
Okay.
if it's right
Yeah.
under the,
And that number is 706-707-8801. That's in Are there the one for this text amendment change? Nobody's on. Okay, it's back to our council members for discussion or questions.
Just as a note of explanation, I believe Mr. Mahoney said that the planning and zoning hearing, that it was simply a response to demand from his sales office. That they anticipated much more demand for the fourplexes, and it turned out to be the case. Everyone seemed to want to be in the duplexes, so it was kind of a shifting, actually, as you mentioned, lowers the number of beds, and to a small extent,
it's a more of an active senior
Yeah.
component.
Which makes sense. Yeah, that's
Well, we're grateful for Mr. Mahoney for for his cooperation with adding to the trail system.
Okay, if there are no more discussion, then we'll bring it to a vote for this map amendment by Mr. Kelly Mahoney, amendment existing plan professional development on Bethany Road 036059. Can we get a motion? To
Mr.
approve?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that we approve the map amendment to the existing planned professional district for tax parcels as follows: 036059, due to the following reasonings, findings, and/or conclusions with the following conditions. The division of land is to proceed according to the applicable requirements of the Madison subdivision ordinance. The development agreement is suitably amended to reflect these changes, and that all development within the corridor design overlay district meet the design criteria of that board and proceed through a full review.
I second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed is none, to vote unanimously. Thank you so much. Cost of living increase, salary scale adjustment. Mr. Nunn? This is something we do each year, I believe, right? Cost of living.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is a scale adjustment. It, it's based on the CPI for our region. Comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I just run the numbers of 12 months over the previous 12 months to look at the change. And this year is 1.56%, and I recommend that our scale be adjusted. This will amount to a across-the-board increase for all employees of 1.56%. Any other increases will be based on merit or promotions or other achievements. But this is 1.56%. The scale will be adjusted by that amount. I'll answer any questions.
Are there any questions for our city manager? If not, if we can get a motion to approve this cost of living increase for our employees for 1.56%.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve this cost of living raise for our employees of 1.56%.
I'll second. Oh.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed is none, the vote unanimously. Thank you so much. Contract Architectural Collaborative, Madison City Hall Rehabilitation. Mr. Nunn?
Okay, Mr. Mayor, what you have attached is the marked up contract. It's an AIA contract between the architect and the owner. And I emailed to you just a few moments ago and realized that there's a 4-page attachment that wasn't there. It's kind of the meat of the agreement. What it does is tells you what they will be doing for us. And if you pull that up, it just gives us a summary of the project, a summary of the Madison City Hall, built 1938, and it discusses who's housed there. The administrative office is the manager, clerk, finance officer, human resources, Main Street planning is in that building, or in City Hall. And Joe Smith, the principal at Art Collab or Architectural Collaborative, has laid out an approach of how he would like, with city staff, to go through the process of putting a plan together to renovate and to rehab City Hall. As you may know, we've had this project on a couple of SPLOST. We have money. We're collecting money for this now, and we have some in the bank to do this. The total design fee, as you'll see in the attachment, is $64,500. This includes pre-design, schematic, design development, and then construction documents. And then beyond that, beyond that in the construction phase, and I would like to engage the architect as well to help with administering the contract, working with the contractor, there are always questions that come up about how things are to be done or conditions that we get into once we get into the project. Again, within just a few years, City Hall will be 100 years old. It's hard to believe, but it's a great building. Works Progress Administration is Depression era design and construction. It's very well done. It's been the interior's been changed up quite a bit. We've adapted the back end from public safety to planning in Main Street. Did that a few years ago. That end of the building will need not a whole lot of work. It'll need, you know, flooring and finishes and whatnot, mechanical. But the majority of the work will kind of happen from the steps up going forward and then the exterior. So it'll be a comprehensive project. I'm really looking forward to
Do we have
getting it started.
a budget for that project? That I don't worry about what happened with Hill Park, where, you know, we had a scope and then the budget that
Well,
ended
we've
up
not-
costing more than.
We've not done Hill Park yet, so
No.
we've not spent that money.
But what I'm saying is that the plans, I mean,
That's-
do we have a budget for this? Are we telling them we want to stay within this certain budget
Well,
as
I
far?
don't want to cut the process short.
Yeah,
I want to let them, for this amount of money, to go
Yeah.
through and tell us what they think needs to be done.
okay.
And if we need to value engineer, if we need to not do certain things. But I think that building was a landmark. The city has no plans of going anywhere else. I think it would be a great investment to put that building back and make it so it'll serve the city another 100 years for whatever use. So I think one of Joe Smith's task will be to figure out what that
The
is, what that
okay.
budget is, what things are going to cost. So
Do we have a time frame on when you're gonna get started, and it would be completed, or?
he's got the timing in here, existing conditions, survey and drawings, a couple of weeks, planning and schematic, 8 weeks, and construction documents, another 8 weeks. So it's, that's 2
4.5,
months,
5
4
months.
months, 5 months.
5 months.
That's about 5 months. So when we get toward the, fall of the year, winter, we'll be looking at if we're satisfied on the scope and what we want to do. Part of the other planning is to find out, City Hall is a very busy place. There's a lot of coming and going, a lot of public interaction. And we'll have to figure out, and I think the architect can help us figure out how we can do that, whether we use the back end of the building for part, use this building for part. We'll for several months, it may be even a year, that it takes to do that building the way it needs to be done. We'll have to relocate out of City Hall. There's no way to do it and stay there. Because we're talking about mechanical, wiring, plumbing.
No, you replace the slate roof with new
No,
slate? It will
no,
stay there?
No, if the slate roof is still, if there's not that much degradation, if it's in good shape, it'll stay where it is. I mean, but all the exterior will be looked
Yeah.
at. And Joe Smith is very talented. He has quite a good track record, a great track record with buildings just like this, I think. And being a resident of the city, being on HPC for a long time, I look forward to working with him on it.
Thank you, David. Are there any questions for David?
And I assume that our city attorneys looked this long document over, and it's kind of the standard.
That's correct.
Thank you.
What'd you say the total cost of that was? Every time I try to find it, my glasses.
It's estimated cost $64,500 for the planning
I
phase,
heard that.
construction
I didn't
documents.
wanted to get that in
Which
my
is
head, but
kind of what I thought. There may be, these are basic costs. The consultant services may add some to that, but, and that's to be expected. But
No more questions for David. Can we get a motion to approve this contract with Architectural Calamity for Madison City Hall rehabilitation.
I so move, Mr. Mayor.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposers, none, to vote unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Contract with Whistle Construction Company, Welcome Center Maintenance. I think you talked about this at our last meeting, but
I did.
us
We
an
did
update.
not have we didn't have the document ready. And this is, again, it's an AIA contract between the owner and the contractor. This document, it's the total of this contract is, and this is over time, we've got to kind of pick our points on this, is $86,200. What this contract does, or what the scope of this is, to rehabilitate, I think it's 13 window openings in our Welcome Center building. These are very large, original windows that 25 years ago were taken and refurbished in the building. Taking about 3 of these windows, the sashes out at a time, and covering up the opening. They'll be taken out and put on a workbench in a shop, and then they'll be refurbished. The glass will be cleaned, they'll be reglazed and repainted, repaired as needed. It's the kind of work that needs to be done, and the craftsmen that need to do it for this building. The other part is the repointing of the brick. There are some moisture issues with the plaster inside and some mortar degradation on the outside. And Curtis Wetzel, the contractor, is very well qualified. One building he did just down the block is the old Madisonian building. He spent quite a few weeks there working for the owner of that building, and did a nice job tuck pointing and cleaning out and doing some good masonry repair work there. I'm not going to call them out, but you can really mess up a building, a brick building, by doing inappropriate, not only for the appearance of it, but for long term. There are issues. You can make things a lot worse by doing inappropriate work. But he'll do it according to the appropriate standards. We're doing these things in the right order, because as we deal with some moisture issues, window issues, brick tuck pointing, we can deal with those moisture issues on the inside, and paint and finish issues. So I would ask that you approve this. This will not be done all at one time. This was put out to bid. We didn't have any other interested bidders. It is kind of a niche area to work, but it's a fair price for the work, for the amount of work, and I recommend that be approved.
Are there any more questions for David?
I would read these contracts as well.
Yep, okay, thank you, sir.
And Mr. Witzel's reputation is very good. He's done a lot of HPC-related work, and he's very competent, I believe.
His list and list of projects in the city of Madison is very long.
Yeah.
Both new construction, good restoration jobs. He's done some work for the city. He's done quite a bit down there. As a matter of fact, he's doing the Smith building next door right now, which is turning out really, really good.
Are there no more
Any
questions?
questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
David, we were talking about, we're going to do this in phases, which is a smart way to do it. So you don't see expending this money, it's going to be expended over a year and a half?
Probably over a year. I would
Over a
think
year.
over a year, because when he'll have workers, he'll have craftsmen that'll take the windows out. It may take, a month, 2 months to do just 3, and then he'll put those back in. So, and then when the appropriate season and the people who want to do the work, I'll rely on Curtis to tell me when he can take it on, when he can do the masonry work. So this document frees us up to work on this and collaborate on just getting the thing done and not necessarily worrying about getting it done in the next 60 days or 90 days. It's not a project that we need to hurry up on.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve this contract.
I'll second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed is none, the vote unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may interject here, I've just gotten 2 emails from 2 citizens who say the link to our meeting tonight is going to an old HPC meeting. We've lost Kent. Is he working on that?
It must be the go-to meeting thing versus the live stream.
I mean, I don't know whether there's usually the code for the meeting, and evidently if
The
these
code
two-
is wrong, probably.
the code might have been wrong. It directs them to a HPC meeting that either is tomorrow night or already passed.
Yes, I do know that the CVB wants to present, that's what he's working on, and I'll try to get it to him right.
That supports even further our decision to postpone the one item that
Exactly.
we had a lot of public interest, so.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, we have the contract for Madison Morgan Conventions and Visitors Bureau. And I'm sure you've all had a chance to look at the letter that the city has received. And I was reading this information. It looks like they have $67,000 in reserve that they did not use this year because of the COVID-19.
Right.
And they would like for this to go over in the year 2020, 2021, I guess. We'll probably talk to Karen to reserve this money. And we do know that the motel tax is going to be down tremendously because of this. And I think they usually get 50% of the hotel motel tax, and it's going to be at an even lower level within the next year. And they're just asking us to amend the contract because they're supposed to spend this money within a year, I believe, to amend this contract so they can keep it in reserve, even though we know that they will be receiving money in the next fiscal year. It'll just be less money than they would receive.
Yeah.
So we could,
So it's just delay, from what I understand, it's just a delay of just pushing.
spending those funds.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's not like
Right.
they're gonna get another, they'll just.
right, well, and they were saying they didn't have to do a lot of advertising.
No.
You know, there was no promotion
No,
for the last 3 months, so, and they didn't have to employees. Well, the Welcome Center was closed, really, so,
Mr. Mayor?
yes.
To me, that request is very logical. It's better than us saying, you go spend it or you lose it. And I think it's better that they're looking to try to reserve it to go forward, and I think it's pretty smart management of the money. And then hopefully we'll be able to get back on track, and this will get them through. We gotta.
I don't see any reason why they feel like they need to present, unless you guys,
Well, I think contractually it
Contractually,
states that they have to
It
spend
needed to be
something.
spent in the appropriate year.
no, I'm
Right.
talking about for
Right.
them to try to, they're evidently having a hard time trying to present right now.
Oh,
Well,
Not present in all, but just like do a present, I think they're trying to do a presentation via GoToMeeting or something.
They are.
Yeah.
uh,
And they had like 3 or 4 people.
Mr. Mayor?
yes,
I think one of the big things, I spent a while researching this and talking to Pat about the fact that, you weren't supposed to take in more money than you spent because they don't want people piling up money with a SPLOST that they don't need. But as I read the statute, there's room in there for the city to do what we're doing here, as long as it gets okay. If we have to ask forgiveness, we will, but I think it's legal to go ahead like it is based on the contingencies that we face.
and
Sounds
certainly
good.
from a budgetary perspective, they're gonna need they're gonna need the $67,000, because
All they could
as the
get.
mayor said, I think the loss in the hotel motel tax is gonna be significant.
And then we have to understand, it's not their fault, you know, it's nothing of their fault. So if we can go ahead and approve this, amendment,
I think we're gonna prove it. She doesn't have to.
if we can approve this amendment for
Yeah.
the, Visitors Bureau,
Need to pass any law.
all right, just
She had
approve
it when she said hello.
Yeah, that's right. So, I'll move that we accept the contract with the Madison Morgan Convention and Visitors Bureau to amend their, what am I amending? The contract with them? Is that right?
Right, amend the
Amending the contract between the city and the city of Madison and the CVB.
CBD.
And I second the
Second.
motion.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposes, none, to vote unanimously. If you see them, Chris, just tell them that.
Yeah,
It's
I
been
mean,
approved.
they had like a presentation, and so
well,
I think they're probably very happy not to have to.
well, we appreciate what they do, though.
Yes, no, they've worked diligently.
Unfinished business, restaurant service of alcohol during COVID-19 carry out. Ashley, did you find out anything on that?
Yes, sir. I emailed my contact at the Department of Revenue, asked if there was an end date to this particular exceptions that they're making, and he referred me to the state website and said to check there for updates. I've checked there Wednesday of last week and today, and as far as I can tell, there's no end date set on this FAQ yet as far as allowing restaurants to continue the carryout if only beer and wine in sealed containers. So, I guess it's up to you.
So you're saying it will continue until further notice, I guess?
The state is allowing it to continue
Okay.
temporarily.
But it-
I do not see.
But it
anything
is up to,
But it, yes,
it
it's
is
up
up
to
to
you.
you. The reason I thought it deserved, conversation is because restaurants are gradually going to start opening, and their inside business and their outside, whether it's patio business, is gonna continue. Theoretically, you could have a restaurant that's wide open, you know, operating under the guidelines, but still doing carry-out beer and wine, and I don't have a problem with it. And others that are no dining inside and only doing carry-out, and kind of the reason this thing was done to start with. So if the council's fine with just leaving it alone and just letting it keep, you know, continue to go, and giving, the restaurants need all the help they can get right now.
Right.
So if it's okay just to leave it, and whether they have inside service or not, until maybe the next meeting we'll bring it up again. I'm not hearing a lot of complaints about it.
And I think you want to give the business a chance to sort of get built back up again.
Yes.
You know, and we don't know how long that's going to take, so.
Mayor, could I ask our assistant chief whether his department's had any issues regarding carry-out liquor during this time? We have not. Okay, thank you.
And to clarify, liquor is not for carryout, only closed containers of beer and wine.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay. You don't need a vote on that, we just let them continue to do what
Mr.
they
Mayor, I
do.
think that, may I?
Yes, sir.
I listened to what David said about, you know, just doing carry-out beer and wine. I think it should be determined that that's with a food order.
Yes, I'm
You know,
sure it
that-
is
in
with the
other
food
words-
I think
order.
it has, does it have?
Right,
it
take
has
out
to
That's,
be
food
there?
order.
that's the only way it's allowed, is
Okay.
with,
So I think we're okay then.
Do anybody know how the restaurants are doing since they've been open?
I have no idea.
So nobody in here is eating out, is that right?
Well, I don't think Amici's opens their dining room until May 19th. A couple of them have not gone back, so Ricardo's, I don't think he has yet, has he?
And Town
I
220
know, so there's a
hasn't-
couple of them. I'm not sure about,
I think they
The
were
one on the-
planning on maybe doing that
Yeah.
after about the 18th of this
Yeah.
month, is what I've seen.
Mr. Norton, you have any time frame as when City Hall will be open back to the public, or we just sort of,
City Hall's open today. City Hall was, we left the front door wide open. We said, Karen, correct me, 4 in the lobby or 2 in the? Two in the lobby at a time. We weren't, it's not a real busy time of the month. So, but we had a sign out there and we had some walk-up customers, but we're back open again.
New business, volunteer awards announcements. Each April during National Volunteer Month, Madison Main Street has the honor and pleasure to host the city's Volunteer Service Awards Dinner. This year, the dinner had to be canceled due to COVID-19. Even though we couldn't have the usual dinner and fanfare, we still wanted to recognize the Civic Board volunteers and their efforts to make Madison a special place to live, work, and play. Most of the programs, events, and activities would not be possible without our fellow staff members who are technically volunteers. So on behalf of the City of Madison, it is my sincere pleasure to congratulate the following individuals for their services to our community. Mr. Joe Smith, Superlative Service Award for his service on the Historic Preservation Commission. Joe has served on the HPC for over a decade. As a skilled architect, preservationist, and communicator, he has assured both property owners and the community positive outcomes. Let's congratulate Joe on this superlative service award. Mr. Chris Cook, Inspirational Leadership Award for his service on the Public Arts Commission. Chris' service and leadership on the PAC over the last 2 years have been motivating and inspiring for the entire group as it moves from its initial work into a full-fledged public arts initiative. Let us congratulate Mr. Cook and thank him for a job well done. Ms. Melissa Pichet, Volunteer of the Year Award for her service on the Cemetery Stewardship Commission. Melissa's passion for community history, caring of cultural assets, and unflagging hard work have made her an invaluable community volunteer and contributor to the CSC. We are grateful for the time and talent each of you have devoted to enriching Madison as a place that we can enjoy for years to come. I ask you to accept my gratitude on behalf of all of us. Let's congratulate Pichet. And we appreciate the service that our volunteers do for our city. Are there any comments from my council member? Are there any public comments?
So, I have the wrong link for the go-to meeting on the website. We didn't have anybody that way, and had a few people, or Dr. Jennifer Rosa, they said that that phone is going directly to voicemail.
Okay. So that's a good thing we didn't have her.
It's a tough technical night.
Yeah.
It happens.
Full moon.
Well, it happens.
Mr. Mayor, I assume our next meeting is going to be our work session.
Our
Can we
work
try
session-
and get this system to work properly so that this format to me, I hate to be agitated about it, but it's lame.
Well, I think we decided our last meeting we had that our work session was going to be a test trial for this. So at our next work session, when it's going to be actually? May 29th, our next work session. So we will give it a test run then.
Now,
And
are we going to
hopefully-
be sitting here, or are we going to be at home?
We'll be sitting here. I think we'll be sitting.
Are we going to have our computers with cameras and?
No, I think the camera comes here and then this stays the same way and then we're beamed into the go-to meeting. Is that right, Ken? So that other people will have their cameras, but we have the one
Okay,
camera.
and when it comes time for public comment,
Yeah.
are we going to see them anywhere? Are we going to
He-
listen to
He had it
David's
up
cell
there.
phone? I
He
mean,
had it up there. It was up there.
so,
They were up
so
there.
if they're able to log in correctly,
Yes.
then their face will be showing up there.
Right
We can
there.
actually get, we
Right.
can hear their
Uh-huh.
comments.
Right.
You see that screen?
Yeah.
That's it. Their face will be like on the right, will
the
actually
right-hand
be the
side.
screen.
Well, maybe, okay, well, let's arrange someone to call us at the next work session
I guess,
so we can test this stuff
Okay.
out.
I
'Cause
will.
it-
I'll have Daddy call.
Yeah.
He's like
there
the
you go.
Zoom guy. He's got Zoom on his phone, he's
Have your
zooming
dad-
everywhere.
Right.
So
Have
this
Bruce,
is not
have
Zoom,
Bruce
this is
call us and
GoTo
we'll
meeting.
try it
I
out.
watched the Watkinsville City Council meeting and they did theirs on GoTo. Or it was like a GoTo.
Well,
Similar.
Well, I've been involved in probably 5 meetings.
Oh, yeah.
And everything from YouTube to Zoom to
Uh-huh.
GoToMeetings. And I've seen it work every time
Yeah.
better than what we seem to be able to pull off, to be frank.
Yeah.
Well, this is the first time that we've tried it this way.
Yeah,
We-
but
We've been,
Ed, this is, and when we've got extremely important things to potentially talk about, as Rick said, thank
Yeah.
goodness we tabled this thing. Or
But-
we'd be in a world of hurt.
That happens sometime, Eric, in technology.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can I indulge the public and my apologies to the council members? We're doing the best we can.
Doing the
okay?
best you
All
can.
right.
And we appreciate what
I
you're doing.
want to give out my cell phone number. It works, so if anybody wants to call in with a comment or anything, 706-707-6026. 706-707-6026. So I guess we're still live streaming, right, Ken?
We are.
Okay, so let's give it a minute.
We'll give
If
them-
someone
give them
wants
a
to come
minute.
in and
Do
put
we
it on
want to maybe
speakerphone.
put that somewhere on Facebook as well, or, well, I don't know.
Everybody knows my number, so I don't care.
They know it when
Well,
they need it, don't they?
You just gave it, so hopefully.
If anybody missed, this phone is not answering, and I don't understand why it's not. We'll figure that out as well.
Is that a separate phone line?
This is a separate phone line for this Polycom.
That's
And that's what
pretty
we've
cool.
asked for somebody. This is kind of a backup.
Yeah.
That's another backup.
We're
Yeah.
just having technical
Well-
difficulties.
Usually
I
people
mean,
will
things
text
happen.
me or
I've
email
had
me and I've got.
difficulties with my phone
Things
going
happen.
straight to voicemail and
I
not
ta-
ringing, so I don't know.
I had 2 people email me during the meeting, and I emailed them back and said the August meeting was postponed. I mean, the one meeting was postponed for August, so,
So did we have a lot of, do we know if we had a lot of people trying to get on
I only had the 2 emails.
Oh, just 2
I
emails?
I got
Yeah.
1 text and 2 emails during the meeting, which, you know,
Did they say they couldn't see us or hear us, or did they say?
they said the link took them
couldn't-
to the wrong meeting.
Well, we apologize for that tonight. I think Ken has apologized for that.
Oh,
City
yeah.
manager has apologized for that.
Yeah.
And technology.
Listen, I'm just
technology
grateful we have this
sometimes.
thing up and going before the virus hit. We had, what, at least we could live stream.
Exactly.
To could do those first couple of meetings
Yeah.
anyway. Maybe this will be the new way of doing business anyway.
Let's hope not. So sick of hearing about the new normal, I could scream. Say that.
Well, it's gonna be a new normal.
Every day is a new normal. Every day.
It's okay, Dave.
We need a book of David's witticisms every day. The
Know what?
cemetery's got so
Don't-
many people
Don't
in it.
waste
What
the
is that
paper,
one?
don't waste the paper.
It's all that, the Bostwick thing.
Was there no more comments from the council? This
I'm
meeting,
not got-
this
No.
meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See you later. When is our work session?
What?
Our work session?